The most distressing thing about 2025 so far is how it demonstrates that our political leaders failed to learn. They failed to heed the lessons and take the strong decisions needed to protect us. This happens in a range of areas, and I'll go through some of them tonight, but it even applies to bushfire protection and what we've seen in Los Angeles. The firestorm last week was a maelstrom. It was unstoppable and is exactly the sort of catastrophic fire conditions that those Southern Californian mountains and their Santa Ana winds are infamous for producing. It's happened countless times. Even just 7 winters ago, there was another major winter fire that killed 23 people. Still, in terms of damage to life and property, this was one of the worst, and it's still going, of course.
Take it easy. Take care.
Yet we've all known about this. The threats are known, and so are the solutions. You can't stop the weather, and you can't stop idiots, accidents or lightning starting the fires. So the only things you can do is reduce the fuel loads, that is, keep the bush down, and also ensure that housing and buildings are separated from the bush to help prevent wildfires getting into housing areas where they turn properties into fuel. This is a salient warning for Australia. As bad as we've seen in the 1930s, the 1960s, on Ash Wednesday in the 1980s, and on Black Saturday 15 years ago, we could see worse. In fact, we probably will. We've got too many houses and suburbs hard up against bushland, too many people living on ridgetops that will explode in the right conditions. We need to create fire breaks, reduce fuel loads, change planning and clearance laws, and improve fire protection measures on the houses themselves. That's all the stuff we can and should do. But now we have so many activists, every time they're keen to use every tragedy to talk up climate change, playing politics with an ongoing fire tragedy.
We need to stop the climate pollution happening. This is being driven by climate change, the warming atmosphere. That happens because we burn coal and we burn gas. It is actually a fairly simple equation that the pollution is causing this.
Good Lord, what lunacy. Even the Prime Minister went down that path again today.
Well, I've said very clearly that you cannot point to any single event and say that's because of climate change. What you can do is look at the science. The science has told us recently that we've just experienced the hottest year on record, and that consistently over the years, if you look at all of the data, that has continued to be the case. We are seeing a rise in temperatures, and we're also seeing a rise in the number of extreme weather events and the intensity of them.
Yeah, we hear this every time. The data doesn't actually stack that up, by the way. But the point is that climate change talk is just an indulgent distraction. It's irrelevant here. We've always had catastrophic fires, and we always will. There's no way to stop them. There are only ways that we can make people safer, and that's what we need to focus on. Not be distracted by climate alarmist opportunism. You won't stop bushfires by driving an electric car or turning vegan or putting solar panels on your roof. You can only protect people by reducing fuel loads, making homes safer, and not building death traps in bushfire-prone areas. But one disaster after another, governments fail to learn and they fail to act. Firestorms in the worst conditions are unstoppable. Pictures like that you see are nowhere near the worst of it because no one can get near a firestorm, at least, and survive and come out with the pictures. That's just the fact. Fire trucks and water bombers and all the rest of it can only deal with the aftermath and also with more moderate fires, of course, and that's all to the good. But if we want to stop our own Armageddons in fire seasons, we need to change the way we plan and operate and live in bushfire zones. If you're surrounded by bush, you're playing Russian roulette. You might not see a fire in 50 years. You might face them on days without much wind. But if you face a bushfire pushed by a gale and fuelled by dry bushland, you can't expect anyone or anything to save you.